Well, hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome aboard to another episode of Cruise Compass Live. I am Joe, the owner and senior vacation planner with Premium Travel Group. Um, Normally, we spend our Thursday evenings talking about cruise ships, sailing the Caribbean, Alaska, Europe, or destinations around the world, hence the name Cruise Compass. Tonight, we're going to take a slightly different approach. As America celebrates its 250th birthday, I thought it would be a perfect time to shine a spotlight on something we sometimes overlook, our own country. Tonight isn't just about cruising. We will touch on cruising, but it's not just about cruising. It is about discovering America, whether you're looking for a weekend getaway, a week long vacation, a river cruise, a scenic train trip, or an unforgettable national park adventure. There are incredible experiences waiting right here in the United States. We'll travel through the birthplace of our nation, visit battlefields that shaped our history, explore iconic landmarks, discover our national parks, talk about river cruising with American Cruise Lines, and finish with one of my favorite ways to see America by rail with Amtrak Vacations. So grab your favorite drink, settle in. Let's get ready to celebrate America at 250. So we're going to kind of start with the birth of America. Following the Revolutionary Trail, one of the reasons I wanted to do tonight's episode is because this history is personal. I grew up in New Jersey, right along the Delaware River. Revolutionary War history wasn't something I only read about in school. It surrounded me. Every Christmas season, I look forward to watching the reenactment of, George Washington crossing the Delaware River, the watching those soldiers row across the icy river in a period uniforms really brought history to life. It made me appreciate just how much courage and sacrifice went into creating this nation. Living there also meant I had countless Revolutionary War sites right in my own backyard, many of which most people have never heard of. Most, even in the local area, have driven past and not realized it. Sometimes we spend thousands of dollars traveling overseas looking for history when some of the greatest stories in the world are just a few hours from our home. Take Boston, Massachusetts, for example. The Freedom Trail is one of America's greatest walking tours. It's the highlights include the Boston Commons, Paul Revere's house, the Old North Church, Fluor Hall, Bunker Hill, the USS Constitution. If you love history, Boston is one of the best cities in America, to explore that. Then you got Lexington and Concord, the beginning of the Revolutionary War, the shot heard around the world. Walk the battlefields where ordinary citizens became America's first soldiers. You can move it down into Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, America's birthplace. Independence Hall, the Liberty Bell, Constitution Center, the Betsy Ross House, Alfred's Alley. This is where both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were created, and the Declaration of Independence was signed. Again, coming back to Washington Crossing, one of my favorite places because of my childhood memories. Imagine standing on the banks of the Delaware River where, Washington crossed on Christmas night in 1776. And you can go to either side of the river. You can go to the Pennsylvania side or the New Jersey side. I will be honest with you, the Pennsylvania side is built up a little bit better than the New Jersey side is, but both sides are called Washington Crossing. So you can definitely, see them, and it completely changes the way you think about history. You get to live it versus just, read about it. Some other, hidden revolutionary gems, you've got Princeton Battlefield, the Monmouth Battlefield, Morristown National Historic Park, the Trenton Battle Monument, Valley Forge, Yorktown. Many of these locations are overlooked, but they are absolutely worth a visit. They may not take a whole day to go through everything, but they're close enough together that you can go and, and look at them and get through them. Now, of course, America didn't stop growing after the Revolutionary War. Our nation expanded. It faced a bunch of new challenges that will eventually lead to another defining chapter. That is the Civil War. The Civil War remains one of the most important and emotional chapters in American history. These sites aren't just battlefields, they're places of remembrance, education, and reflecting. Some of the must visit sites, Gettysburg National Military Park. You can you go tour the battlefield, go to the museum, go to Little Round Top. Cemetery Ridge, that is another area that you can go visit with that one. Look where Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address, Antietam National Battlefield. And, kind of relive the bloodiest single day in American history. You've also got some that you go down south. You've got Fort Sumter, where the first shots of the Civil War were fired. You got the Appomattox Courthouse, where General Lee surrendered, bringing the war to an end. One of the best parts of visiting these locations is the National Park Rangers. Their storytelling brings the history alive. These park rangers, are living the history. And they're going to bring that to you in a way you never saw possible. We can kind of look at America's expansion west, okay? Once America secured its independence, the country began expanding west. And that's where we got, all of our explorers. You had the pioneers, the railroads, mining towns, and eventually some of our country's greatest landmarks. Think about the Lewis and Clark expedition. You can follow their trail. You've got the Oregon Trail, okay, the really deadly and treacherous trail that our founding fathers took. You got homesteaders, you've got the gold rush, you've got the transcontinental railroad, the first time people could travel without having to be on horse and buggy all the way across the United States. Some of these iconic destinations you want to see, the Gateway Arch, St. Louis. It's the symbolic gateway to the West. Mount Rushmore. This is, one of our most recognizable monuments. It's kind of one of those things that you want to go see, find the history, find out why they made it. All else fails, you can, just enjoy nature. It's right in the middle of a beautiful nature's preserve. Yellowstone National Park, it was America's first national park. You've got Grand Canyon National Park, which is considered one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Having been to Grand Canyon, it is amazing to look at. You're in awe of everything. You've got Yosemite National Park, the spectacular waterfalls, the granite cliffs, the giant redwoods, all of that. Zion National Park, one of the most breathtaking parks in the Southwest. Not far from me now, being in North Carolina, you've got the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Beautiful place to go visit. It's actually one of America's most visited national parks. If you want to visit many, I would definitely go and get the America the Beautiful Pass. Especially, allows you to visit multiple national parks throughout the entire nation. So you don't have to worry about spending a lot separately there. Now we're going to kind of come back to what we call ourselves, Cruise Compass Live. Okay, we're going to talk about American cruise lines. This is, when they hear the word cruise, a lot of times, you immediately think of the Caribbean. But some of America's best cruises happen right here at home. American Cruise Lines specializes in small ship cruising throughout the entirety of the United States. What makes them different? Their ships typically only carry 100 to 180 guests. They are American-built ships. They are crewed by American citizens. They don't have any casinos, no water slides. It's a very, very relaxed atmosphere. You get to experience some incredible regional cuisine. You get local entertainment. At certain stops, you get historians and destination experts on board to kind of let you know what you're walking into. It is definitely a lot more about the destination than the ship. And I say that because, some of the most iconic cruises that they do is the Mississippi. You travel between New Orleans and St. Paul. you know. So not only do you get to visit New Orleans, you get, the Natchez, the Vicksburg, Memphis, St. Louis. Some of their themes include Mark Twain, Civil War history, Southern culture, blues music. That's an awesome cruise to kind of take. The amazing food that's on board. It's American cuisine, so you definitely get to do that. Now, you can actually also go to the Columbia and Snake Rivers. This is perfect for the history lovers. This is one that allow you to follow the Lewis and Clark expedition pretty closely. Get to visit wineries, you see Mount St. Helens, and you explore the Pacific Northwest. Better yet, you could also go up to New England. Okay, during the autumn season, you get to experience a lot of the interior of New England while you're on the ship. Okay, you get to see all the wonderful lighthouses, enjoy lobster dinners, visit colonial villages, do some whale watching, enjoy the fall foliage. You get to go to Chesapeake Bay as well as we move a little bit further south on everything. Okay, there you get to go to Annapolis, Williamsburg, Virginia, Yorktown, Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia. It's gives you a great combination of the maritime history of America and colonial America. So it really does do a lot. Now going even a little bit further south, you hit Florida and the Southeast. Here you get to explore ports like St. Augustine, Jacksonville, Amelia Island, and the Florida Keys. It's a unique way to experience the Sunshine State. You're not all the way off the coast. You're going down the intercoastal waterway. So it makes it, a very, very unique experience, something that the major cruise lines don't get to show you. Alaska, yes, American Cruise Line does go to Alaska, and because they're using much smaller ships, you get to visit communities the larger cruise ships often can't because they're too big. So it's a completely different Alaska experience. If you haven't visited Alaska, it's definitely one of those bucket list items that you definitely want to. One thing I want to point out, we do offer, absolutely free complimentary, vacation planning guides. I just put the QR code up there. Go ahead and scan that. We've got a big amount of Alaska. It continues to build every day. We constantly add to it to kind of keep things going. Now kind of, jumping into a wonderful little segment, America by rail. Amtrak Vacations is who's going to do it. Amtrak is, America's train company. Yes, this is a picture of the Orient Express, but it was a great picture. So I had that and I just wanted to share that with you guys. Seeing America by train is totally different. Flying gets you there quickly. Driving lets you have control of your schedule. But with rail travel, it allows you to relax while watching America unfold outside your window. Some of the Amtrak Vacations, they combine rail transportation, hotels, transfers, sightseeing, national parks, guided tours, it's all built into your vacation package. So no planning, no need to worry about, this, that, or anything else. Some of those rail vacations, Yellowstone National Park, Glacier National Park, Grand Canyon, the Rocky Mountains, California coast. Honestly, they can actually combine that all together and get you around to all the national parks, all in one trip. You can also see New Orleans. You can see Washington, D.C., Chicago. Again, the Great Smoky Mountains. Go through some of the densest areas of the Smoky Mountains, and you're going to be able to just experience America like you haven't before. Many of these trips include scenic observation cars. Okay. Some of them do have overnight sleeper accommodations, but on the other hand, they also do combine hotel stays with everything that you're doing it. And you do have dining on board. So you get to truly experience America rather than simply traveling through it. Okay, so some of the hidden American gems, I just want to kind of throw some of these out there, that some people might overlook, but you may want to go see. Mackinac Island in Michigan. Okay, You've also got Door County in Wisconsin. You've got the Finger Lakes region up in New York. Absolutely beautiful. It's also a wine region. So don't just think of California for wine. They've got some great wine up in the Finger Lakes as well. Visit the Outer Banks in North Carolina. Absolutely, totally different take on getting to the ocean. These are, a mile or two wide in spots. So absolutely incredible to go see the Outer Banks. They are a destination on their own. Having driven many times, I've seen the Blue Ridge Parkway. Absolutely, once again, beautiful. Going from Virginia all the way down into Tennessee. That is some of the most spectacular views you're going to get of all the mountainsides, the mountain towns, and everything is that Blue Ridge Parkway. The Black Hills, South Dakota, not just Mount Rushmore, but the actual overall, all of the Black Hills, okay? Go see Savannah, Georgia. See, everything, all the history that is down there. Charleston, South Carolina, I got to tell you, is an absolutely beautiful town that I have visited before. This town is, hasn't lost any of its Southern charm. It has got that Civil War history going for it as well. So definitely, be a much better, view for you. Acadia National Park, the Great River Road. Sometimes the best vacations are the one everyone else is taking. It's best to kind of go, on your own, certainly. So some questions I got for you guys. It's just simple. What is your favorite place you visited in the United States? Leave that in the comments there. Another question, have you ever visited any Revolutionary War sites? Have you ever toured Gettysburg or other Civil War battlefields? Which national park is at the top of your bucket list? Would you rather cruise the Mississippi River or take a cross-country rail trip? What's one American destination you've always wanted to visit? So again, those are several questions. Answer them in the comments, and you'll be able to, I'll get a response back to you guys as I see them. So kind of closing up, we're going to make this one a little bit shorter today, but as we celebrate America's 250th birthday, I hope you're reminded tonight that, America has some of the world's greatest vacations that don't require a passport. Our country is filled with incredible history, breathtaking landscapes, vibrant cities, charming small towns, and unforgettable experiences waiting to be explored. Whether it's walking the Freedom Trail in Boston, standing where Washington crossed the Delaware, watching Old Faithful erupt in Yellowstone, cruising the Mississippi River, or riding a train through Glacier National Park, there truly is something for everyone. Here at Premium Travel Route, we don't just plan cruises, we also help plan river cruises, rail vacations, national park adventures, escorted tours, and some custom U.S. vacations. So if tonight inspired your next adventure, I'd love the opportunity to help you plan it. I do thank you all for joining me on this special 4th of July edition of Cruise Compass Live. I hope you and your families have a safe, fun, and memorable Independence Day weekend. God bless you, God bless our troops, and God bless the United States of America. We'll see you next Thursday at 7 p.m. for Cruise Compass Live. So again, thank you, God bless you, and have a beautiful evening.